Here are the fully upgraded stats of the ship. Its durability is almost average for a frigate, but it leans toward the poor side. It has the same durability as the Glasgow, which is significantly higher than the Smart 4000, but slightly lower than the Aquitaine. Its speed is average for a frigate. It has the same speed as Chungnam and F-126, which is lower than the Aquitaine and Smart 4000. Its maneuverability is lower than that of the F-126 according to the specs, but in battle, it performs much better than the F-126, though not as much as the Chungnam. Lastly, its view range is terrible. It is the second lowest view range for a Tier 3 frigate, with the lowest being 9.2, found on the FS Blue Shark. In terms of firepower, this ship is good. It's equipped with 3 missile launchers, 1 cannon, 2 grenade launchers, and 2 torpedoes, all of which are customizable. Its loadout is strikingly similar to that of the FGSF-127, with the only difference being the cannon. The F-127's cannon is locked to the ship, whereas Nilgiri's cannon is customizable. Because of this, their damage outputs are quite different. The F-127 can deal a lot of damage through DPM, whereas Nilgiri deals less and cannot effectively surpass it, as the cannon on the F-127 has a higher DPM than any of the acquirable cannons that aren't buckshot. However, the cannon of F-127 has a burst damage that isn't as impressive as its DPM, and Nilgiri can surpass it in that area, since there are several acquirable cannons that have higher burst damage output than the cannon of F-127. Take a look at its potential burst damage output compared to the F-127 and a few other frigates. Now, there isn't much that's interesting about the ship's firepower aside from performing well, but there are 2 interesting aspects in how it is integrated into the ship. One of those 2 aspects is the 3x1 missile slot configuration, which makes all missile types harder to intercept and easier to use. The other is its ability to perform the peek-and-shoot tactic effectively, thanks to most of its weapons being positioned at the front of the ship. These 2 aspects don't directly increase the ship's firepower, but they do make it much more effective at delivering that firepower. In terms of anti-submarine capability, the ship is good too. It can deal significant damage or even eliminate submarines, since it has those torpedoes and grenade launchers. In terms of anti-air capability, the ship is relatively decent. It has 5 air defenses. 1 is locked to the ship, while the rest are customizable. The customizable ones are in a 2x2 slot configuration, which lets you equip 2 different air defenses and allows both to perform more equally. The locked air defense is quite interesting, as it's stronger and has a more potent area of effect than the 2 locked anti-air missiles on the RF Project 1165 Svarog, which is a Tier 3 legendary cruiser. However, its area of effect has a shorter range, and the missile itself also has a significantly shorter range. Since the INS Nilgiri is a frigate, it's naturally suited for a support role. However, it's also capable of taking on an offensive role, though there are 2 things you should keep in mind when doing so. First, if there's an aircraft carrier on the enemy team, you should play less aggressively, or better yet, stick to its default role. While it does have decent anti-air capability and is smoke consumable, its durability isn't great. If an enemy carrier knows how to coordinate with a surface combatant, you could lose a large portion of your HP in just a few burst attacks. Second, Nilgiri performs best in close to mid-range combat, and this not only means you should engage only at those ranges, but also that you need to be more cautious, because at those ranges, you'll likely encounter ships with more cannons and grenade launchers than you, and given the ship's somewhat poor durability, they could technically take you down easily. At long ranges, you can't bring Nilgiri into combat without compromising its firepower, since the grenade launcher is difficult to use at that distance, unless you're using a guided type. Also, its view range will become one of your problems when you fight that kind of battle with this ship, since it's quite low. So, there's quite a bit of risk in using it offensively. If you don't want to make things complicated, I recommend sticking to its default role as a support ship. Also, if you still want to use it offensively, make sure to bring a smoke consumable, as it will greatly help you survive in battle, especially when dealing with submarines. It's also useful for support, but I believe it's more useful for those on the offensive, since that role faces greater risks in battle. One more thing, make sure to use the two advantages I mentioned earlier, which are the 3x1 missile slot configuration and the peek and shoot tactic. For the missile slot configuration, I suggest equipping a laser-guided missile on this ship if you have it and know how to use it, since they benefit more from the configuration than other missile types. These two advantages are also very important for players who want to use this ship for offense, as there are many ships out there with greater firepower than Nilgiri, which you'll likely often encounter, and to stand a chance against them, you need to make full use of every advantage the ship offers. Here are the advantages and disadvantages of the ship. Overall, it's a good frigate. It may not have anything flashy, but what it does have is more than enough to secure victory in battle. This ship would be worth having if you prefer vessels that emphasize versatility, as it can handle nearly any threat you encounter. While it struggles somewhat against aircraft, its anti-air capability becomes valuable when your teammates group up to enhance air defenses. You might find yourself playing a support role because of this, but that's typical for frigates, and you can still deal significant damage, as its firepower is more than sufficient for a support vessel. Now, I'll leave you guys a video of the gameplay of the ship for you guys to see how it performs in battle, and that'll be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys like it, and if you all did, please leave a like and subscribe to support me. Thank you so much for watching.